Hi everyone, this is our Fantrax 2013 Poorsports Fantasy Baseball League. Actually, it's a phony league I made up with just four people. The Simpsons, Marge, Homer, Lisa, and Bart. And what I've done is set up a phony league so that we can explore how it is that the draft room works. And from our home page, the first thing that we need to do is click Draft Room. Now, out of these four players, I'm going to be playing the role of Lisa Simpson. And that's probably what most of you will be doing. You will be picking one at a time just as they come up. You'll probably be adding players to the draft queue as the draft progresses. But I want to show you some other features, some other options that we have. First of all, let's take a look at what Bart has set up already. Bart has already been to the draft room and he has selected players to put in his queue. Actually, he didn't put too much thought into selecting them. He just went down the list and clicked on the green down arrow and just kept going and going and going until he filled up enough players to match the whole draft. The other thing that Bark did ahead of time was he clicked here by position because he's not going to be here for the first couple rounds. So he wanted to make sure that he selected a first baseman first, then an outfielder, then a second baseman, and then a pitching staff. But he figures he'll be back in time that he can complete the draft himself using the players that he has in the queue. If he wanted to, he could add another position by clicking the plus sign here. And maybe he wants to select a catcher, but I think he wants to go with a shortstop at this place. So this is basically the order that he is going to be choosing his players based on the players that he has in his queue. Now at the very bottom we see two features here. We see a first checkbox. It says draft players from the queue immediately, which should indicate that once his turn comes up, that the first player will be drafted right away according to what he has in the queue. And it should take very little time to do that because it's supposed to draft immediately. The other thing he has checked is to fill the active slots first. So what that means is he will fill his active positions, including the three outfielders and the utility position, before he will be selecting any reserve positions. Let's contrast that with Homer. Well, Homer did some preparation too. Although he didn't put anybody in the draft queue, he did select by position. Let's take a look. Oh, I see he likes outfielders. He likes lots and lots of outfielders. Okay, well, it will be interesting to see how Fantrax handles that. I'm wondering if what will happen is he'll fill his three outfield positions first, and then my guess is he'll fill his utility position with an outfielder, and then he'll fill all of his reserve positions with an outfielder, and then finally, because he has to have a legal roster, my guess is that Fantrax will just start placing in the first available position player that he hasn't already selected. It's not an outfielder. And notice Homer has not picked the draft players from queue immediately, and he has not picked fill active slots first. That'll be interesting to see. Oh yes, one other thing. Marge is not even online right now. She couldn't make it, so she's hoping that Fantrax will do a good job of picking for her. And it will be based on the order that we see right here, the rank that players have. Now I'm going to be playing the role of Lisa, and we'll see some features that we can do while she's drafting. Okay, let's see. First of all, we see that Marge is up first, and then Homer, Bart, and Lisa, and then Lisa, Bart, and Homer. Of course, the serpentine draft. So let's begin. Okay, the draft has just begun, and immediately Marge has her pick. That's because she's not online, and so Fantrax makes its pick immediately for her. Now Homer's on the clock. He got his first outfielder, and Bart got Albert Pujols. Now Lisa's turn is up, and what I heard in my headphones is a crack of the bat and then the organ playing saying, hey, hurry up. So I'll just go ahead and click here on Miguel Cabrera, and I'll choose him to play third base, and I'll click OK. Sorry, the timer ran out. Uh-oh. So the pick was made for me. I guess Lisa got Cincinnati. So When you hear the organ music, you better start making a choice quickly. Now I'll check Miguel Cabrera because I get on the turnaround, and I'll click OK. And I got it in time this time. And right after I did, Bart got Jose Bautista. So Bart's clicking immediately because he had checked the box that says draft player from queue immediately. Homer did not, so his is taking more time. And Homer will likely take the full time, even though he's maybe not even paying attention to the draft, but he wants that next outfielder. By the way, when it's Lisa's turn again, I'm going to show you what happens when she clicks on the box that says draft players from queue immediately. This is another way that you can select a player, is simply by checking that box and then sending them directly to the draft queue. Got to be careful with this because it does happen immediately, so you want to make sure that this is what you want to do. Now I want to show you something interesting. In round 4, Homer had a pick, and he actually picked the Yankees. He didn't want the Yankees necessarily, he wanted an outfielder. But he has already filled his 3 outfield slots. So Fantrax said, too bad, you can't pick another outfielder at this time. You have to start filling in other things. So I'm going to take a look real quickly at Homer and see what happened to his by position choices. Interesting. They've all been eliminated. I'm not sure why that happened, but I guess it's because it's Homer. He just didn't do a good job of selecting. Let's do the same thing for Bart. For Bart, if we click on by position, he still has 1 position left. Well, you can see up here he's already gotten 4 of his positions, and we only did go to 5, so the shortstop would be next on the list. At this point in time, Bart could add more. He can go ahead and click position plus again. He doesn't like catchers, so he is going to choose another outfielder. But you can do this when you have a chance if you want to be sure to draft in a certain order. That's an option. Okay, I'm going back to Lisa now, and I had checked the draft players from queue immediately and show you how that works. As I click on the down arrow, it's going to add to the queue, Mike Trout in this case, and once I click, he is selected immediately. Didn't take any time. By the way, for those of you who have the turnaround, you'll hear the sound of the bat once, and then you'll hear, as time progresses and it gets closer to the end, you'll hear the organ music. And then, don't let the organ music go on too long because otherwise Fantrax will choose for you. I'll click here, Matt Kemp. But the second time you have up, because you're on the turnaround, you won't hear the crack of the bat. It'll still just be your turn. Okay, I just want to take a brief moment to show you some of the other features. We can look at all of the positions and they're ranked, or we can search for catchers only if we want to look for catchers, or we can search for any position. We can also do a player search. Sometimes there's a player you want, but you just can't find them immediately. So you can click in there and click go. Okay, right now the draft is in round 11, but I'm just going to go ahead and let it finish out. By the way, if there's a problem with the draft at any time, please let me know, and I'll suspend the draft and we'll explore the problem, and we might have to rewind the draft back a few slots, which means that not only will we correct one problem, but a couple others might be deleted, which means those players would have to reselect who they want. Usually it's best to send a message to everyone, although you can click here and choose an individual person to send it to. But especially if there's a problem, you want to send it to everybody and then click send. Okay, well now that we're at the end of the draft, we hear loud applause. And the first thing we should do afterwards is go to our roster and check to see that we have players in the right positions, that we have active players in the active positions and reserve players in the reserve positions. There's one other feature I want to show you, and you can use this feature any time during the draft, but especially at the end of the draft we can take a look. We can click on here and see draft picks, and this is going to show us round by round what players have been chosen. And if you want to, then you can analyze the draft however you want. Let me click out of that. And you can also, during the draft, look at what some of the other owners have chosen in their draft. This is at the end, of course, but you can also do that anytime during the draft to see if, for example, the player before you needs a first baseman or needs a shortstop or something like that, and help you decide what you're going to be choosing. Well, I hope this is a helpful preparation for you, and I hope you have a wonderful time drafting. And the best thing is to be prepared ahead of time. All right, good luck, everyone.